Information Office. Thank you very much for coming. I'll jump right into it and introduce County Executive Mark Elrich.
So good afternoon, everybody. And whoever has these excellent mics, thank you very much. I don't have to hold it and it's not next to my mouth. That's very well done. I am here because just to thank the council for passing the 4 bills we're talking about today. These bills further solidify the values that we hold as a community. And these aren't new values, these are values we've held for quite a while. These 4 laws are needed because the federal government is endangering our residents. And the 4 laws are Bill 326, which is the County Values Act, which basically directs the county executive to develop and publish guidance for all county agencies that prohibits the use of county-owned parking lots and properties as staging areas or processing locations for civil immigration enforcement, and it creates a public reporting mechanism for violations. This is important because we don't want to be complicit or part of these activities, and we're doing what we can to take ourselves out of a place where we are complicit. The second bill is Expedited Bill 526, and it's the Unmasked ICE Act. And this basically says that federal, state, or local law enforcement operating in Montgomery County cannot wear masks or facial coverings while on duty, for very narrow exceptions, and the exceptions do not include arresting or harassing normal human beings who are trying to make their lives in Montgomery County. So it's certainly not for the kind of things they're using it for now. And it's, I think, a way of saying that transparency in this county is not optional. Third bill is the Expedited Bill 1326. It's the ICE Act. It's very straightforward. We're not going to be complicit in the construction of any private detention facilities within our borders. And we're not going to issue building permits or use and occupancy permits for any of these private facilities. And the fourth bill is the Expedited Bill 1426 of the Vehicle Recovery Act. And this can be quite impactful because people are being stopped. And when they're stopped and their cars are pulled over to the side of the road, they often wind up being towed. And then the family, first of all, has to find out, was it towed? Has to find out where it was towed, and then has to pay to get the car released back to them. So for families that often are struggling to begin with, we put them in further jeopardy. And it's important they not be put in further jeopardy. So this bill will prevent that. And, you know, the car is important. I mean, how do people get work? Many people rely on these vehicles. If you have to take a kid to the doctor's appointment or to school, being without a car is really paralyzing in this environment. So it's important that we do this, and I'm really happy. And you're going to be hearing from each of the 4 council members and the council president to talk about these bills a little bit more. Across the country, we're seeing aggressive immigration enforcement actions that are creating fear and instability in communities, and we've already seen the impact here at home. The families that have been disrupted, parents that have been detained, children that have been left without parents, and young people who are terrified about their future. And this is not good for any of us, and in fact, it's destructive of our community. You know, we've done a lot of work here to have the immigrant community trust the government. It has been so important in public safety and all these other issues that we deal with to have people feel like if you're in this county and you're working with us publicly, that you're safe and that we're here to help you, not put obstacles in your way. And it undermines that sense of safety when the federal government comes in and just blatantly disregards everything we do and basically targets people for removal. While local governments do not control federal immigration policy, I only wish we did, we do have a say in how we serve the people who live here in Montgomery County. And we're going to make sure that they know that they're welcomed, that they're appreciated, and that we will do everything we can do to support them, and that you have my support and you have the unanimous support of the council, and probably every decent institution in Montgomery County understands that what we're doing here is the right thing to do. So thank you all, and I will turn it over to the council president, and then she will follow, and then turn it over to the rest of you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I want to thank the county executive for for hosting us and for being such a great partner when it comes to immigration. You don't do this work by ourselves. We do it together. And when I say together, it's not just the legislative branch, but also with the community. I want to acknowledge that our friends from CASA are here, as well as many other community partners who have made this happen. Look, at the end of the day, we're facing a crisis in Montgomery County and nationwide on immigration. Our families are under attack, and as an immigrant myself, I take this very personal. When I became council president, I feel like decades ago, I have aged after the budget, the first thing I did as council president was to introduce and have every single one of my colleagues lead on the Trust Act. That makes a difference, because it's not just about having people saying, I agree with you. It's about people holding your hand and ensuring that they're involved from the very beginning. And that's how it has happened in Montgomery County. I'm proud to live in a county where you have elected officials that are responsible, who understand that this is about building a caring economy, a caring society where we are supporting one another without thinking where the person was born. So with that, I'm going to call on the 4 colleagues who led particular pieces of legislation, and I think that's also beautiful. Having colleagues taking charge of a particular piece of legislation that deals with immigration, I think that speaks highly about Montgomery County. Shouldn't be me because I'm the immigrant, it should be all of us, and that's what happened here. So if you can please come forward, I'm going to ask Council Members Evan Glass, Kate Stewart, Will Jawando, and Kristen Mink to come here, and I'm going to do it in alphabetical order. So I'm going to start with Councilmember Glass to talk about his bill, and then we're going to move to the next ones. And after that, we'll do Q&A. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is a big day here in Montgomery County because we are standing unified to let everybody know that our residents are safe and welcome here in Montgomery County. There is a lot of doom and gloom down in Washington, D.C., but here we are surrounding ourselves with love and light, making sure that every resident knows that they are welcome, safe, and seen. And when we saw what was happening up in Hagerstown, just 100 miles up 270, where they wanted to build a privately owned detention center and round up their own neighbors, putting them in warehouses and cages, we proactively stood up and said, we will not let that happen here. That's why I introduced the ICE Out Act, inviting all of my colleagues to co-lead that so that we stood unified with all of our neighbors. That is why I love living in Montgomery County. That is why I am proud to be a council member on this body. And it is why we all need to continue standing up, speaking out, and fighting back. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. I'm Councilmember Will Jawando, the author of the Unmask ICE Act, but I'm also not glad to be here. I wish we didn't have to put these pieces of legislation forward. I wish we didn't have to play the aggressive defense that we're having to play to protect the 1/3 of our residents who are foreign-born. If you add up the kids of immigrants, you get to 45%, like me and many others in this room. We shouldn't be having to do this. This is not about keeping people safe. The bills from the Trump administration, the policies from the Trump administration is not about keeping people safe. Cruelty is the point. They are trying to scare people. They are trying to destabilize communities, and that's what's happening. They're bringing untrained people into our communities and harming our residents, and we have to do everything we can. And that means, in some cases, pushing the limits of federalism. We're celebrating our 250th year as a country, and I think it's important, and as a county. At that time, there were people who were pushing against an unjust and corrupt ruler. And unfortunately, that is an American trait that we need to renew right now. And I'm proud that all of these bills have been introduced and have been passed unanimously by the council. It shows that we care about our residents and that we are going to fight with every tool we have. If we've got to go to court, we'll go to court, because this community, our residents, are worth fighting for. So I thank you, County Executive, for signing these. I thank you, the Council President, for leading us through, and to all my colleagues for passing these bills.
Hello, my name is Kristen Mink, and I led on the County Values Act, and I agree with everything that my colleagues have said, and I want to give a special recognition to the advocates, many of whom are here today, and many more of whom are not able to be here also, but they have led in so many ways, not just right now, but for years, and we are at a point now where we have to listen to them. We have to do the things that they are calling on us to do. We have to be bold. We have to take actions. And we have to go further than we thought we would have had to even just a few short years ago. I also want to recognize and appreciate our colleagues at the state level for pushing there as well. And I'm proud that we are able to take what's happening at the state level and always try to take it a little bit further, because here in Montgomery County, that is who we are. We try to set the standard, we try to set the example, and we try to lead the way. But I want to really recognize that we're able to do that because of the work of the community and the advocates, families who are impacted and who are turning that pain and trauma into advocacy and education. Thank you so much to CASA, to MoCo IRC, to Students Fair, and to so many of the families and the students out there who have worked directly with many of us, who have called on us, who have come to the council building to advocate. We are able to be here and take these steps today because of your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kate Stewart. I'm the District 4 representative on the Montgomery County Council, and I was the lead on Expedited Bill 14-26, the Vehicle Recovery Act. And I am proud to stand here with my colleagues today, with the county executive and everyone here in the community to strengthen the protections and to help impacted families. And I am glad that we are not signing one, not two, not three, but 4 bills today. Each of these bills build upon each other and follow in the footsteps of the Trust Act that the entire council led on under the leadership of the council president. The Vehicle Recovery Act, the idea for this came from members of the community, from family members who we heard from, who said that ICE was literally ripping their family members from their vehicles and taking them away, leaving their vehicles in the road, or parking them intentionally in front of fire hydrants or fire stations so that there was no recourse except to have them towed before someone else could recover the vehicle for the family members. And then as family members are dealing with locating, reaching, trying to figure out where their loved ones were taken, at the same time they had to figure out where their vehicles were. Only to find out then, once they located them, if their name was not on the title, that they could not get the car out of impoundment. I don't know the definition, if there's a better definition of cruelty, but that to me is one of them. And I am glad that we were able to work with CASA and all that you do in our community every day. And I do want to do a special shout out to Pablo Blanc, because you pushed us, you helped us to really think about how we can help our community members, and I thank you for that. To Montgomery County Immigrant Rights Collective, MoCo IRC, for really being the voice of our community members who have been taken and lifting them up and supporting them. We thank you. Students Fair and the students who provided testimony, and I know Emily Garcia Pina is here with us today. Thank you, Emily, for all your work on this. And as one mother said to us, families immediately begin to face impossible hurdles just to recover their vehicles. In my case, it was overwhelming and desperate. No family should have to go through this while already dealing with the trauma of detention. And today, with this expedited bill, as soon as the county executive signs it, we will be righting this wrong and helping families in our community. Thank you.
And just to end, we're going to do Q&A, but I just want to remind people how important this is. Just yesterday, there was a Latina conference here in Rockville. Over 500 Latinas were there. number one question was, what else can you guys do to protect our families? I am so proud of the work we did today, but this is not the end. I'm sure that we're going to come up with new ideas, because our job is to meet reality, and doing it together, but also in partnership with the Maryland General Assembly is key. And I think it's another reason why Montgomery County in Maryland is such a special place to be in the United States. So with that, we're going to start with a Q&A.
So we've got time for a couple questions from members of the media.
Hi, Josh Chapin from Channel 7. Can you take me inside any of the conversations you've had with Montgomery County Police Department, the sheriff, about what their views are on this new piece of legislation? And we have to ask, there are going to be people who say that this makes the community less safe, that this won't allow people to go in and do their job. I'd love a response to that as well.
You want to start? I love this
Yes.
question.
We didn't get any pushback from our people, and this doesn't make it impossible for our people to do their job. Nowhere in their job description is arresting immigrants who happen to be here. That's not the job of any Montgomery County police officer. So this doesn't get in the way of doing that. It doesn't prevent it. We don't harass people. It doesn't, these are things they don't do. So we're not worried about whether or not they're going to be able to do their job. They can still do their job. You're not talking about people making arrests because somebody had committed a crime, a crime against the community that we're protecting the community against. These are people who are going to work in the morning, who are going to bring back money, put bread on the table, and support their families. If that were our job, we'd be in serious trouble, and this would not be in Montgomery County. We're not doing that stuff, and nobody's job is going to be interfered with.
Beautiful. I would add that, let me just remind people, over 30% of the people who live in this county, they're immigrants, just like me. We're talking about passing legislation that will fit the reality of what's happening today, protecting everyone, regardless of immigration status, where they were born, the language they speak, the faith that they have, or the person they love. Is making sure that our values are part of our policies to ensure that the police department will do their job. And let me say to you, for the Trust Act, which was the first piece of legislation that we passed and I proudly led, the chief of police and police officers were right there next to us, behind us 100%, because they understand that in order for the police to do their job, people need to feel safe and trust police officers to report crimes. So it's the entire opposite. The police wants that every single piece of legislation that you heard today has had the fingerprint of the police department giving us their input to ensure that what we're doing here is not just a headline. And anybody here knows I am not, Natalie Fanny Gonzalez doesn't move legislation just to get a headline. I move legislation that makes a difference. And for that to happen, the police had to be with us, and I'm proud that they have been with us 100%.
Just one thing on that question. So on the mask bill in particular, because there's 4 bills here today, our police don't wear masks. Very limited to SWAT, it's extreme weather. And neither did ICE prior to 2024. So they're doing it to intimidate. And actually, one of the things our police have said, we want residents to know who police are so that they can be comfortable reporting crimes and making our community more safe. So it's actually the opposite in that case, and I think many of these bills are in line with that same theory. Yeah.
Tom Fitzgerald from Channel 5. We're seeing intense protests, violent protests in Newark, New Jersey, right now, outside of a facility called Delaney Hall. ICE headquarters is 20 minutes from where we're sitting right now. What assurances can you give people that your actions today are not going to have the opposite effect of drawing attention and drawing more ICE activity into this county for ICE to make their plan?
I think we all recognize that we're going to be targeted anyway. When people look at, the lack of activity, it's not because of a lack of desire. It's because they had started out with 17 ICE agents in the state. They couldn't do the stuff they're doing in other jurisdictions, so as they've increased ICE staffing, they've increased their presence. They haven't yet done it here. The detention center they proposed was in Hagerstown. There may be other things they're looking at, but we didn't start with that in Montgomery County. So I don't view this as inviting more. They're going to increase their activities. We know they've told us they're going to do that. So we're not confused about what they're going to do. So we're not going to, nothing that comes here is something they weren't going to do anyway. Our goal is to make sure people feel as safe as possible and that we can set as many ground rules as possible to limit their ability to carry out unfettered. To the extent we can fetter them, we will try to do that.
Yeah. I would just add one more thing to that question. Look, we are Montgomery County, right next to Washington, D.C. We are already under attack by this administration, not just on immigration, but the fact that thousands of workers, federal workers, were illegally fired, people who live here. So immigration is just one more thing that they do. And I think at the end of the day, we as a county need to move forward in passing policies that will protect our people because that's our duty. And we cannot do that based on fear. What if they're going to do this or what if they're going to do that? We, at this point, expect anything coming from the person who's in the White House at this moment. And this is why it's so important for people to speak up and continue advocating with justice and integrity and be an example for other jurisdictions across the nation. That's just how I'm seeing it right now. And fear cannot be part of how we do work in Montgomery County. And I'm proud of each one of my colleagues and the ones who are sitting over there who are going to come up here in a couple of minutes because it took every single one of us to vote for these bills and the county executive to support us. And I think, as it was mentioned, in conjunction with the Maryland General Assembly, and you guys have no idea, but we do talk a lot with other counties across the state to ensure that whatever they're doing, if we're not doing it, maybe it makes sense for us also to do. So we're in that type of collaboration right now, and also having conversations in Virginia too, believe it or not. So this is a time to use every single tool to ensure that we're doing the right thing, defending our population. So, I think.
Anybody else?
Any other questions from the media? What we're going to do since, sorry, Jaylee.
I just was curious. I know we're, having this sort of ceremonial bill signing today, but I also know that the county's been already implementing some of these things. I just wanted to find out, have you been getting any reports of ICE trying to use parking lots and staging areas since this bill passed?
Yes.
Just what have you been hearing from residents?
Yeah.
So the issue of ICE using parking lots to stage has been one for over a year. And we have seen that in our community. And I think it's Councilmember Mink's bill, the Values Act, and working with members of our community to really put that in place. Unfortunately, I think both of our districts are the ones that have been hardest hit right now because of where ICE has been staging. And this has been an issue for our community members. I can tell you in the city of Tacoma Park and in the Long Branch community, what that has impacted members of the community in feeling safe and leading people to not want to leave their homes because of ICE staging in our communities. And so I just want to say thank you to Councilmember Mink, and she can add to it since it was her bill.
Thank you. So that has been happening since before I wrote the bill, and it was the reason for writing the bill. We know that ICE stages in parking lots, both county and non-public parking lots, and that's why also part of the bill is ensuring that we are providing that example and providing that signage on the county website for private businesses to be able to use it for their parking lots as well, because we would like to see that no parking lot in Montgomery County is a place that is open for ICE to stage, ICE to transfer detainees, any of that. It needs to be as difficult as possible for them to take part in their illegal activities and harassing and terrorizing our community members as possible. So it has been happening, and we need to get pieces in place to respond to it and to prevent it. Another important part of the bill is that it directs us to take actions physically to the infrastructure to prevent it in places where where it is happening, where it is feasible for us to do so. So there's real follow-up there. And I'll just note that of the folks who are asking, I think a lot of us here, like, well, what if the federal government doesn't like it? Like, what if this is too hard to implement? Those questions are not coming from the communities that are impacted. Those questions are not coming from the communities that are under attack. Those communities are telling us, do more, take action. And so it is up to us to listen to that and make it work. And that is what we are doing here today.
And I'll just say that I think all of us, I know Kristen and Kate, were actually at a private facility in Tacoma Park off New Hampshire Avenue where they were doing staging, where residents had come out, which they were doing every morning, to watch ICE stage. And then when ICE departed, the residents would follow ICE and report where ICE was going to help alert people to ICE's presence in the community. So we know this is real, not hypothetical.
Since we've got 4 pieces of legislation, what I'm going to ask is for members of the council and any of the advocates that would like to come up over here. The county executive is, typically he signs many copies. He's going to sign 1 copy of each bill. We'll stop. We'll get some photographs. He'll go on. So any of the advocates or other folks in the community, if you'd like to come up and get in photographs.
Everybody's been waiting for Too much.
What can I write?
There you go. Happy Monday.
They don't work.
They might not.
This is the motor vehicle tow.
All right.
Budget control.
They don't work.
And the last ice. Left shoulder also. Yes.
Good. Can't smile anymore. All right. Got it? Thank you. All right.
It's mine? Sure. I've seen them all in my office. They're awesome.
One of us is going to
Symbolism to that. We'll leave that right there.